Hello there. It's Jeff coming down and welcome you to another Degrassi video. And this is about the 60 biggest Degrassi unpopular opinions slash hot takes have had. For more information on this, you can obviously go to the Unpopular Opinions Degrassi YouTube thing in the section below, but I'm going to be rattling off my 60 unpopular opinions. Obviously, I'm not going to go in depth with each of them because I've already made videos for them. So basically, yeah. So I did 3 lists to the to the Reddit community in the past 3 weeks. Basically, I talked about 20 unpopular opinions, and hopefully, people were trying to get involved in them. But unfortunately, not too many people got involved with them, even though that people write unpopular opinions lists and all that. And basically, I dig in, and then basically they dig in with that. Oh well. So anyway, so I'll tell you about the unpopular opinions. Number 1 is the students should have blamed for Rick Murray being bullied because they took Emma's Orange Ribbon campaign wrongly. Now, of course, as we all know, that Rick basically sucked and all that. And basically, he took the gun to school and shot Jimmy and nearly shot Emma. But that's not to say that, the students should have some blame. I mean, after all, like, the Orange Ribbon campaign was perfect. Emma and Paige came up with this idea to help people with domestic violence. And basically, the students took it as a war cry to destroy Rick any way possible. But then again, there was also another sinister reason, and that was because the students probably thought that the faculty wasn't going to listen to their cries for help and all that with Rick being at the school. So basically, they wanted to take matters in their own hands, in a sense. Number 2 is Paige with Mr. O, only because of her season 4 issues. Now, remember, this is the season that Paige basically flew in under the radar in most people's eyes in season 4. We know about the Rick Murray situation, but season 4, Paige started off the year by having her rape trial be there, and unfortunately, her rape trial ended in Dean getting off scot-free because of lack of evidence. She had to deal with Spitter having eyes on Manny, while Paige worked to pay off Spitter's car, who she damaged, to get back at Dean. And, of course, Rick coming back to the school, which kind of brought her own trauma, which she probably blamed herself for the fact that she allowed Terry to go near Rick to calm Rick down and all that. But yeah, Paige was with Mr. O because she was losing her head and she couldn't get out of her issues. Number 3 is Emma wanted to be with Sean because he stood up for her. I basically go that Emma wanted to be near Sean. I mean, Sean risked his life to try to talk Rick out of the ledge and try to make sure Rick didn't shoot Emma and all that. And Emma felt like Sean was the right person for her. I mean, she didn't have a boyfriend and all that. She basically screwed up trying to get Chris back, and basically she just wanted to be normal, but she wasn't. Number 4 was Emma was right to be fuming at Manny in the wake of the JT stabbing because Emma wanted to talk about her feelings, and Manny blew her off to move back home and be with Damien. I mean, a lot of people said that Emma boiled in season 6 and basically was not mad at Lakehurst, was mad at Manny. But, I mean, Emma had a point. I mean, Manny moved back home with her parents, basically didn't want her in a situation that was close to JT being stabbed to death. I mean, she decides to date Damien from Lakehurst. I mean, you can't blame Emma for being mad. And of course, the Lakehurst cheerleading squad was coming to Degrassi. There were some people that hated Lakehurst for that, but Emma basically needed to take a stand. I think this was more of a cause for her, but basically Snake saw through it and basically said that it was just an attack on Manny because Manny didn't give Emma the time of day, and she should have. I mean, Emma probably would have cooled off. Number 5 is did Degrassi's need a bus crash to further Maya's depression? I say no. I mean, Maya seemed to be fine and all that in next class and all that, and then basically they used a bus crash, and then Maya was in the bus crash and basically was twisted in a coma. She felt terrible and it reminded her of Cam and all that. They could have just played Maya off as a better character, but man, they really wanted to keep Maya's depression angle going. Number 6 is Spinner is the best redemption arc, even though Holly J is close behind. I basically said that Spinner was the best redemption arc because, after all, he inadvertently got his friend shot, and he should not have listened to Jay, trying to get the heat off themselves for the pain and feathers and all that. Like, Spinner alleviated his guilt, but when Jimmy came back, Spinner knew he had to try to make his friend back. And he knew he was going to get in trouble, and basically he knew he was going to get a lot of shit thrown at him, especially season 5 when he came back to the school. But he took it. He took it like a man, and basically everyone forgave him. Holly J, in my mind, should be number 1 in a sense, but like Holly J's bossy behavior, she basically was trying to be just like her sister, Heather Sinclair, and basically she played Anya off like a lapdog. Number 7, sorry, was Emma was more of a friend to Manny than people thought. Everyone says that Manny was a better friend to Emma than Emma was to Manny. True. But I mean, Emma was more of a concerned friend, and it was taken the wrong way. I mean, Emma has the right idea, but unfortunately, though, it's taken for her pettiness and all that. I mean, in season 3, when Manny sexualized herself, Emma was worried about people taking advantage of Manny and all that, and she was right to a point. Number 8 was Maya being with Miles in season 14 because of the reminders of Cam, and she didn't want to make the same mistake twice. Everyone kind of figures that Maya with Miles, it's like season 13, she broke up with him because Miles was with Zoe. Of course, that Maya and Zoe had a big fight in the start of season 13 because Zoe slut-shamed Maya, and basically Maya's mom didn't want Maya to sue Zoe. So basically, Maya wanted to get back with Miles. But then after realizing how Miles was having troubles, and that in her head, she pictured Miles jumping off a banister. And she knew that Cam did that, and that Miles was harming himself. Maya was like, oh my God, I can't have this happen twice and all that. She never got over Cam. And basically, the writers basically made her all that. Maya also should have just said something about Cam because people would have probably given her more sympathy. Nope. Number 9 is Emma should never have been with Peter at all. Especially with the fact that in season 5, he basically framed her best friend with a topless video. Basically because Manny refused to go out with him, even though Manny was trying to get Emma to go with Peter. Of course, Emma took it as Manny wanted to steal her boy, but Emma realizes that Manny was the victim and basically took Manny into her home after Manny's parents kicked her out. And basically, she starts dating Peter in the middle of season 5. Why? Her personal problems? It just doesn't matter. I mean, everyone was accepting of that, but basically, Peter framed Sean for drugs. Emma believed Peter more than Sean. Manny and Jay basically tell Emma that she was jumping to conclusions. Emma finds out Peter did it to keep the relationship and swore off Peter and basically went with Sean in season 6. Number 10 is Rick shouldn't have been stopped by anybody before he went all psycho, even Toby. Basically, Rick was allowed to roam the hallways even after he shot Jimmy. Someone should have figured it out and basically called the cops. Maybe someone did call the cops on Rick, but Rick didn't even realize it. And maybe the cops were going to come into the school in the first place. But Toby should have stopped them. I mean, like, Toby is Rick's best friend and all that. And basically, it's like, why didn't he do anything about it? Number 11 is Radich's hidden grudge against Emma because of the GMO food thing in season 2 and her calling him out. Cliff's notes is that basically in Fight for Your Rights, Emma and Ashley and a few other people talk about GMO foods and all that, and Radich says that we can't change the cafeteria's diet. We were lucky to have a cafeteria because of budgeting. And then Emma passes out flyers. She gets them taken away. She's willing to wave the white flag. Radich somehow allows a cafeteria commercial to happen, gets Emma stand her up. She accidentally starts a food fight. Radich basically suspends her for the day and is mad that Emma is defying him and wants Emma to apologize for everything. Emma apologizes for the food fight, but she does not apologize about her freedom of speech and basically calls Radich out and even says that Radich was willing to suspend her for the rest of the week. And, season 4, when Emma told Radich, we don't want Rick back at school, it says Stay out of this. This is not one of your stupid crusades. I think Raj basically had it in for Emma. And if that hidden grudge had happened, that would have furthered his hatred, Snake's hatred of him. Number 12 is Ashley's downfall was partially Paige's fault. Now, everyone knows that Ashley took ecstasy and basically did some stupid stuff. But season 2, but it's possible that Ashley was trying to get back at people. But Paige used her Queen Bee image and basically having Hazel and Terry as her sidekicks and forcing them to choose between Ashley and Paige. Sadly, though, even Terry chose Paige over Ashley, or maybe she was forced to. Ashley basically was alone. She decided to go golf, and then she's with Ellie and all that. Number 13 is, it's actually hard to say about Cam's suicide plot. Was Cam more wrong for not reporting or being honest with Simpson about his homesick issues and a lot of things, or Simpson for not seeing the warning signs, even though in season 4 with the McMurray situation he should have seen the signs? It's hard to say who's more at fault. I say Simpson kind of. I wish Simpson had known at least something like that, but basically, or even Simpson to force Cam to go to therapy and all that, because then maybe it would have came out about Cam's problems, and Simpson probably would have been a little more calm and all that. 14 is the OGs deserve more love in Next Generation, and basically we're getting rid of by season 5. We had a lot of people coming in and out, and basically Snake and Spike were the last 2 major OGs. I mean, Joey lasted till season 5, or the end of season 4. I think season 5 he wasn't seen after that. Raj was dumped off by the middle of season 4. Like, Caitlyn was there for a little bit, but they deserved more love. 15 is Jay and Raj both had a giant ego post-shooting because one was trying to prevent Spinner from confessing their roles in the Painted Feathers, and one was trying to preserve his image in the wake of messing up the shooting issues. It's hard to say who had the bigger ego. Like, Jay, I think, because, he was basically a giant ego all in one mind. And Raj basically was trying to protect his image and protect the school from being ridiculed and all that. At least Raj had an idea, but basically it all went for crap. 16 is Craig is lovable, but I don't think he was that great and was a little bit ungrateful to Joey. I felt that Craig is a good character, but basically his attitudes towards other people, especially Joey, kind of pushed me the wrong way. And he was willing to date both Manny and Ashley at the same freaking time. Kind of stupid, don't you think? Number 17 is that Liberty's pregnancy should have had better results. In my mind, that should be true because, Liberty's pregnancy was basically a B storyline. And basically when it was an A storyline, it was all about JT and how he was handling it. I didn't like how, Liberty was basically setting up JT to fall flat and all that. And, Liberty was protecting her pregnancy. And then finally, I guess when JT overdosed, it finally came out that Liberty was pregnant. And it was weird how no one slut-shamed her for being pregnant and all that. But I guess she kept her pregnancy to herself. Number 18 is Alex could have got sympathies for why she would hate Rick in season 4, but she used that motivation to beat up Rick and gets little sympathy, / she should have been punished for her role. Everyone knows this. But the thing is that Alex could have been more likable. Season 4, she tells Emma that basically she has to deal with her mother with abusive ex-boyfriends. Could have got more sympathy. But basically, she used her mom's ex-boyfriends and pictured them in the guise of Rick and wanted to physically beat the shit out of Rick, ignoring the Orange Ribbon campaign and all that. But basically, Alex was there to the end, and she got no punishment. Jay and Spinner got expelled. But, Alex basically never admitted her role. And basically, no one knew that Alex had a part to play in the Painted Feathers. Not even Paige. Number 19 is, was Emma's character regression warranted, or was it stupid to change her personality because maybe early fan bases were miffed at Emma's character? If you look at the first 3.5 seasons of Degrassi Next Gen and basically saw Emma, it's like, well, what this person was. And, maybe the writers wanted to change Emma to be more human and all that. But in the end, it actually backfired because if Emma from the first few seasons was in season 5. She would never have been towards Peter. She would never have ticked Snake off. And she wouldn't be chasing friends and relationships. She would be a go-getter. I don't know. Number 20 is Emma, I think, had a reason to be mad at Manny season 5 and wanting to be Peter. Because if Emma still was, if Manny had said something about Emma and Peter, she could throw Manny out. I mean, Emma kind of was bossy in season 5. I mean, a lot of people tell me not so, but I feel in a way that Emma wasn't too pleased with Manny butting into her own life. So basically, I asked about this stuff. Megumi said something about 16, because even though Craig is a good representation of mental illness, doesn't mean he's likable in my eyes. His constant cheating drove me up the wall. I think it makes sense for him, but makes him unlikable. I loved this character before all his relationship with other students. I didn't really notice him not being grateful, but I'll do a rewatch. And Bowcat said, you should have posted the link to your YouTube stuff. Okay, so anyway, then I did the second week stuff. So here's the next one. Okay, so this will be number 21. 21 is Hatzalako's motherly instincts ruined what could have been a great principal run in the show. And her favoritism to Peter was terrible. I mean, honestly, Hatzalako's definitely is the best principal around. I mean, Simpson has had some mistakes. Radish had some mistakes. Pill had some mistakes. Shep had too many mistakes. But in the fact, Hatzalako's was more favorable to Peter. That ticked me off. And all that is like, why were we basically saw Hatzalako's as a great principal, but now we see her as basically being overbearing towards Peter. I mean, honestly. Number 22 is Peter or blaming Toby for ruining a relationship to Liberty for being honest about who JT wanted to be with. Now, in the wake of the JT stabbing, Toby and Liberty somehow got close to each other, but Toby felt that he wouldn't be faithful to his dead friend if he wanted to be with Liberty. So he basically told Liberty and Mia that basically JT was going to look for Liberty and be close to her on Toby's recommendation, all that. And people thought that Toby would never get a relationship after this, and they were right. Number 23 is the pesky deleted scenes issue I have. I mean, there were 2 deleted scenes that could have saved a lot of things. Number 1 is the fact that we didn't see the meeting between Marco, Alex, and Radish. And Radish basically said that his hands were tied with Terry not being in another school, and said that there were no criminal charges and all that. And when Spinner insulted Rick when he came to school with his painted feathers, and Radish basically wanted to throw the book at Spinner, but never ended up doing that. Because honestly, it's like now we can understand about Radish not wanting to be there. But that doesn't make Radish more human. It makes him a little evil. And basically, we didn't know that Radish was willing to, give Rick the benefit of the doubt. But Snake basically said that Radish is basically doing this at the wrong time. Number 24 is the school is probably responsible for Snake being a draconian principal in season 10. I think so. Because Snake screwed up with the fact that he didn't talk about the hazing of Drew and Riley and all that. Drew told on Riley, not because Riley was gay, but because, hazing was wrong. And Riley got suspended for a while. Unfortunately, Drew's mom was part of the school board and basically told Simpson that there would be problems at the school, but with another person. And basically, Snake took it as a sign he needed to do something about it. And after Vegas night, he basically decided to go draconian. In the minds of the students, he basically was unfair. But basically, he was saving his job and all that. That makes Snake a whole lot unlikable. 25 is punishments within the school are too strict or not strict enough. Basically, there's not completely a lot of middle ground. I mean, I know that Spinner and Jay being expelled was the right thing to do. All that. And Jay basically said that he didn't want to come back to the school even if he was given a chance to, because he figured that the school needed a scapegoat, and with Raj basically gone, they figured Spinner would be weak. But basically, too strict or not strict enough. Basically, the Degrassi nudes was not strict enough, and too strict was basically not the racism thing. Well, especially with Tiny protecting Shay and Lola and getting suspended for it. But then again, the school board may have screwed up too. Number 26 is Mia had a lack of sympathy after JT stabbing. I mean, like, Mia really moved on. I know she was sad about the picture, JT playing with Isabella and, having fun with him. But Mia just basically moved on. It's like she didn't really want to cry about it. Maybe Mia was happy about it. Maybe she could be with Lucas. She tried, but Lucas was a piece of crap. And, there was a lot of problems. 27 is Sig and Maya. The relationship might just be because Sig was taking advantage of Maya's internal issues. But, I think that Sig basically played Maya like a fiddle. And basically, he was jealous that Maya was with Cam, wanted to be around Cam. So he basically wanted to get rid of Cam and got Cam suspended and basically told Cam never to be around Maya because he was jealous. And basically, with his gang life, like, he probably made Maya feel guilty about it, and Maya wanted to be with Sid. I know Sid kind of grew up in a sense, but I don't know. Number 28 is college storylines didn't do much to characters' growth. Maybe Emma and Paige. It did, but yeah, like the college storylines, did we really have to find about college storylines? Honestly. Number 29 is disabilities were not handled that much in the Degrassi franchise. As an ASP, I feel like they may have screwed up the stories and didn't want to be stereotypical if they wrote about it. So basically, like people's disabilities, like mental disabilities, physical disabilities, not a whole lot were there. There were a handful of people, including Maya, not the next class one, but Maya in Degrassi High in a wheelchair and all that. But I mean, disabilities were not that well handled. Number 30 is Emma and Sean deserved each other and definitely not Spamma. I know that everyone says it's a popular opinion, but I mean, like, Emma and Sean were much better together. I mean, Emma and Spinner, it was just about coincidences. Kind of turned me off. Number 31 was Tristan and Marco were foolishly in love with the wrong ideals. I mean, it was hard to find true love and all that because of the gay stereotypes and all that. But Marco basically was just a puppy dog and all that. And Tristan wanted to find love for all the right reasons. And, he was mad at Miles for being with Maya. Now, Tristan used the excuse of Maya going to the school and breaking off Tristan and Mr. Yates as an excuse, saying that he's more mad at Maya for trying to steal his man, that being Miles. Number 32 is the Hollingsworths basically is too dysfunctional. Even the mother is hard to figure out, basically because they're all dicks. Frankie for her racism plot and not growing with it. Hunter for his misogynistic styles and including being with Yale when Yale became a Fae. Miles had his issues with people. Mrs. Hollingsworth was more concerned about being the wife of a politician than being with her family. And basically, Mr. Hollingsworth being the mayor of Toronto and basically throwing his influence and basically forcing Degrassi to kiss his butt, if you will. Number 33 is, was the Breakfast Club homage in season 3 necessary? I actually warmed up to this theory, and I'm thinking, yes, this actually did make sense. At first, I'm like, this is kind of a stupid thing. Like, you throw these people into detention for dumb reasons. I mean, Radish had the right idea. Like, they should have been punished for their stuff or be suspended, but Saturday detention just for that? Mm-mm. No way. I basically go into detail. But I think that, yeah, it worked because Hazel was close to Jimmy and Sean was close to Ellie. Unfortunately, Toby was the odd man out. Number 34 was Darcy in season 4 was very unlikable. And basically, her season 8 Jaunt to Africa may have been her parents' idea to get rid of her. I mean, Darcy in season 7 was terrible. Although, to say that, Darcy had a point because, like, Darcy was worried about how her family would have dealt with her because she was raised in such a way that she couldn't really talk about her issues. And, she blamed Snake for everything instead of coming out to her parents about her being raped and all that. Darcy finally got better, but then she went to Africa after two episodes of season 8. I know that Sinead Grimes went off to do 90210, but, like, they black hole Darcy to Africa and all that. I don't know if it was her idea or not. Number 35 is Liberty was not really overrated or underrated. She was just misused and all that. Not much to say about that. The video will be much better. Number 36 is Spinner's bragging of the prank to feather/paint Rick was more damaging to the Rick Murray plot as we think. To feather paint Rick. Basically, I go with the point that it was something that Spinner bragging to Jimmy about the prank actually led to a lot of things. Because remember, Spinner and Jimmy had a literal fight, and then after it was broken up, they actually were talking to each other and were walking side by side with Craig. It's like, wouldn't they be sent to Principal Radish's office? That was kind of stupid. And then basically Spinner makes chicken noises at Rick and is in trouble with Radish. And basically that's how Spinner says Radish knows to Jay. Although you could say that basically he figured that Jimmy was going to narc on him too. It could be both ways. So yeah, and that's how Jimmy got shot. Number 37 is Spike had a little bit of a downfall, and maybe she was jealous of Emma in season 7. In season 7, Snake was, of course, accused by Darcy of things, and he tried to plead his innocence and basically was suspended and all that. Even though Darcy came forward with everything, the school board kind of figured that Snake may have had a part to play in it, despite Snake not having anything to do with it. It seems that, Spike was upset. Snake was not doing so well, and Snake couldn't come back to the school. It was mostly Lakehurst's fault. And basically, it seemed that Spike, told Snake not to get Emma involved because she's recovering anorexic, and that's what worries her about an eating disorder. I was surprised that Emma didn't just punch Spike out. Number 38 is an unpopular opinion that might be true, might not be true. Basically, I said the school board didn't fire Raj because if they did, they would have admitted guilt in their handling of Rick. And basically, they threw him to the wolves to maybe offset a lawsuit and all that. So basically, to please the Murrays and all that from a lawsuit, maybe they fired Radish. But, well, they reassigned him. But they knew that if they fired him, Radish probably would have taken issue and gotten on their nerves. Number 39 is Anya was way too timid, and people walked all over her. I know that's not really unpopular, but the scope of Anya being too timid. I mean, like, geez. She's basically Holly J's lapdog. She basically is upset. She's upset at Sav for Sav choosing family over her, in a sense, and that's true. But Anya then goes to the army when she obeys orders. Doesn't look good for her character. And number 40 is Vince should never have had an impact on Degrassi post-shooting Adam in season 11. Why was he out in season 13? It just doesn't make sense. People have commented about it. Jonathan Faulkner said Dan Woods was filming for another project and didn't want to fly out to Toronto, and he decided to quit. And that was Chop Cut Rebuild. And I said, I think it was also because it was a waste of resource for the production team to fly Dan Woods to Toronto for a few appearances, and then he goes back to LA. I remember Not a Vampire telling me that. And I said, I just wish I could reach out to Dan Woods and ask him what happened. Everism, who's basically one of my best contributors, said, Anya was timid, yes. But that's what happens when you're a follower, not a leader. I think her character is pretty realistic. And then said about Vince, number 20, said that he shot Adam in season 11. It could be about a year and a half for a sentencing. I think he got leniency, and he injured Adam, but didn't kill him. But there's a possibility he should be in jail for attempted murder given his history with Drew. Yeah. And someone said, can you explain number 16 more? And I told the person, Spinner and Jimmy were talking in Time Stand Still Part 2, when Spinner basically tells his master plan to Jimmy about the pain of others. They fight, and even though the deleted scene wasn't shown, Spinner still thought he was going to get it because Jimmy might rat him out. So Jay came up with blaming Jimmy to save Spinner's sides and also to kind of punish Jimmy for switching sides. And then part 3. Well, here we go. Number 41 was Rick should never have sympathizers. I mean, yeah, we could sympathize towards Rick, but he retaliated against Terry in season 3. He retaliated in season 4, leading up to the comedy errors in Time Stand Still. Like, honestly, he hurt Terry. He deserved to get what he got. But basically, I know the students did some poor things, but Rick basically dug his own grave, not literally, with the circle and the X and all that. And basically, Rick brought a gun to the school because he was painted and feathered. And he was going to shoot Paige. Paige never found, I don't think Paige ever found out that she was targeted by Rick. Number 42 is Zoe should have had a bigger punishment for Degrassi nudes. And basically, the only reason why she was powerful in season 14 was because of her rape storyline in season 13. Basically, I go that Zoe basically had problems. And basically, she got a rape trial in season 13, made her look very weak and all that. And basically, by season 14, because of her body, she needed to make things right. So she decided to do Degrassi nudes. I mean, raising money for the Degrassi Power Squad is fine, but like the nudes and all that, and basically forcing them not to go to any sources, basically because they're going to incriminate themselves. She only got community service. Number 43 is all the volleyball team should have taken responsibility for the racist poster because none of them had qualms about Frankie's gorilla drawings. Basically, when they were making that poster against Northern Tech, nobody told Frankie, I think that's a bad, those gorillas are bad news and all that. Frankie had the idea to do that as Sioux adults because they're called the Sioux. Probably not that politely. But basically, yeah. I mean, the volleyball team basically threw Frankie off probably to alleviate their own guilt. But I'm surprised that Frankie didn't just throw the volleyball team under the bus herself. She might have gotten some power. Number 44 was Emma's eating disorder was not handled well. Basically put, it was like, it was confusing. Like everyone said by season 4 in secret when she refused to eat shepherd's pie after rehearsal for the play, that was probably it. But no, Emma had a few eating problems beforehand. Heck, Mary McDonald actually had an eating disorder the first 2 seasons of playing Emma. So, yeah. Number 45 is they glossed over the Shane Spike dynamic and never talked about it after the opener of season 3. It was perfect. It was going to be a landmark thing, and we finally would know, if you're a Degrassi High fan, what happened to Shane and all that. And basically, Emma finds out that her dad is in a mental deficiency place and is mad at Spike, rightfully so, that Spike didn't tell her anything. And Snake did the right thing by telling Emma the whole story about how the fact that Shane's parents didn't want Shane involved. And basically, after his acid problems, they put him in the mental institution to get rid of him. Like, Emma and Spike and Snake knew that Emma had a right to be mad at Spike, but basically Spike needs Emma. And so basically Emma decides to be closer to Spike. 46 is they made the characters into lesbians after failing relationship with guys. In real life, that doesn't really happen that well, and the writers fucked it up. I mean, when I look at it, it's like Zoe had a relationship with Miles before she became a lesbian. Paige basically had relationships with Spinner and Dean go wrong and turned into a lesbian. It's like they really screwed up making characters into lesbians. Because after failing relationship with guys, that's not proper. That's not cricket. Number 47 is Jay should have sued Jane Spinner because it would have gotten Jay through the juvie. I know that, what gain would have Jimmy had with Jay and Spinner suing them, but basically, the court case would have given Jay and Spinner time in juvie, and, Jay being the evil one, and Spinner probably would have turned on Jay. Jay would have been in juvie and probably out of the show. Number 48 is Toby was underutilized, and the writers didn't help his character. I know they say it's not unpopular. It's more of a hot take, if you will. Toby was underutilized. Basically, season 1, it was him and Ashley, and it was like, man, Toby's going to be a breakout star. And then season 2 comes, and people said after Craig was written in, Toby basically faded to the background. And, Toby deserved better. Number 49 is that despite what people on the Reddit community has said, Rick's dad did not have anything to do with Rick's issues. Because in fact, Rick's issues was his anger issues was because that Terry and Jimmy had some kind of relationship and some kind of friendship, and Rick thought that Terry was going to dump Rick for Jimmy, so he basically tried to prevent Terry from getting close to Jimmy, and then also saying that Terry should not be close to Paige because Paige basically doesn't like him and basically is trying to use Terry's problems against her, and basically didn't like the fact that Paige was trying to tell Terry to leave Rick and all that. And then, of course, everything came to a head in times. No. Number 50 is Spitter did deserve redemption because he was willing to call himself out for getting Jimmy hurt. Okay. 51. Joey should be ashamed for his love triangle in School's Out. You know, the movie that they put after Degrassi High to check in on all the characters and all that. Like, how could Joey have done that? I know that basically at the same time Wheels was an alcoholic and basically had a car crash that put him in jail for a long time and all that. But I mean, Joey should have been ashamed of himself. And I wish that Tessa had told Joey that she was pregnant by him because Joey might have stepped up to the plate. 52. Drew and Bianca was terrible because I had an inkling that Bianca played Drew like a fiddle. And it's like, why would Drew and Bianca be together? I mean, Bianca basically stayed with Vince to keep Drew safe and all that, but like, it just didn't make sense. 53 is I really hated Casey's development on the show. Casey was put in season 8 as part of the gifted program that brought some characters in, and it doesn't make sense about it. I mean, like Casey and Jenna had a kid, and basically Casey decides to go with Marisol and basically blames Jenna for why things are bad and all that. Didn't like him. 54 is I didn't want JT and Adam to be killed off the show. They were written off for other reasons because of the actors, but yes, but still. I mean, it would have been nice. Like, I'm not saying keep JT and Adam on the show. I just said, just not to kill them, quote unquote, kill them off. Just basically do something about it. Like, JT could have found an acting job and had to move out. Adam probably would have had some kind of excuse to leave the show. I mean, the actors didn't want to stay with the show, but still, I mean, would have been much better. Number 55 is I feel Lakehurst was necessary to keep plot lines going in season 7, but only because the show was rumored to be done after 7 seasons. I mean, Lakehurst came in season 7 because they had a school fire and basically there was some animosity from season 6. But I mean, yeah, we got some new characters and all of that. But that could have been tipping the hand that there were rumors that Degrassi was done after Emma's class was graduating. So basically, that was it. But, you know, they needed Lakehurst to come by with their storylines because, after all, with the show being renewed for an 8th season, they needed to figure something out. Number 56 is the hate on Radish is way too high. I mean, I really hate this because when I did my Ranker.com character rankings and basically gave power to the people, you know, from 1 to 10, I basically ranked them up by own accord. Like, Radish was down in the bottom 10. Heck, a dog was actually ranked higher than Radish. And I mean, Radish, for all the hate, it's a little too high. And I mean, you guys, the Reddit community, basically got me thinking. It's like, well, I got to tell you straight out why Radish is more sympathetic. Number 57 is Pill was a bad principal because of her mistrust and definitely her ego. Here's the thing, though, because, you know, Pill came into the school after Snake screwed up Degrassi News. And basically, she wanted to make sure that the school board could see that she could run a good school and basically not remove her interim tag. But her mistrust and ego ruined her, especially with the cameras and the no affection policy. I mean, the backpack policy and the cell phone policy makes sense. Total sense. But cameras would have made much more sense, but she made audio to try to see what she could do to help her students. And the no affection policy led to her downfall because Drew was going to be kicked out of the prom, but Drew had to have Dallas, who screwed up with a date thing. And basically, she told Drew that she has to make sure that everyone plays her way. And the worst part about it for Pill's ego is that Drew's mom is part of the school board and basically would have told the trustees about Pill's behavior, and basically that's why they probably would not have brought Pill back, even though that the show was supposed to end after season 14, but it didn't. Number 58 is too many plots didn't have a good payoff. I made several examples of it. I can't think of one off the top of my head, stupidly enough. 59 was Emma was okay as a feminist, but only when she was older and understandable. Emma had a lot of views when she was younger, and then when she gets older, she can relate to things. And finally, the one I really am more pissed off about is number 60 is why won't people do a Degrassi collab with me? Honestly, I mean, like anything. Like if someone does a project and wants my input, I will gladly give them the input as long as it just mentioned me in passing. They could just say, well, thanks to Cutter Historical, blah, 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 blah. I don't want like super credit. I just want some credit. Think about it. I mean, I'll figure something out. I know that I don't have the right stuff and all that, but I mean, honestly, I can do it. It's just a matter of principle. So anyway, thanks for watching this video and have yourself a good day.